This video focuses on the agricultural and industrial revolutions which took place in Europe and America between 1750 and the 1900s. Now, I have to confess, particularly the Industrial Revolution is an area that I find fascinating. It's an area also, by the way, that teachers, I think, have managed to make incredibly boring for probably, well, since it actually happened. As a period of time, the Industrial Revolution in particular has completely changed our world. So I want to deal with it, hopefully in a way that inspires you to be interested in it as well. I'm not going to spend as much time looking at the Agricultural Revolution. It's really important. But at this stage of your education, perhaps it's not something that we need to develop at length, other than to see it as part of this broader economic revolution that we can see as taking place between 1750 and the 1900s. So let's get into it. When we're considering the Industrial Revolution and the Agricultural Revolution, we need to understand that our focus needs to be, firstly, on Britain. So again, we return to this map you've seen before. Here's Britain. We've looked at there's been events, political events, events changing the way governments operate in France and in America. It's now what's going on in Britain, which had its own political revolutions, where Parliament developed a couple of hundred years earlier, that it's here that we see big economic changes that shape our world. So, before we go into this, I'd like to point out, as I've said in the red box on the screen, that the changes are so significant, so far-reaching, it's really difficult to summarise them. I think it's an area that we could talk about a lot in class, and it's something that I would love to engage you in conversation over. So we're going to play with it a bit, give you a little bit of an overview. Firstly, as I said, the Agricultural Revolution really underpins the Industrial Revolution. So by the Agricultural Revolution, I mean a transformation of agricultural practices in Britain after 1700 that led to more food for more people. And these agricultural changes allowed more food to be produced for more people by less farmers in the countryside. This is the end of our peasants in Britain. When you studied the feudal system and the mass of the people were down the bottom here as peasants and serfs, where are they all gone? Where they've gone is into the cities. And how could they go into the cities and abandon their farms like that and us still have food? Because of the Agricultural Revolution. So what were the changes? Well, I'll throw a few at you. We're not going to deal with it in detail, as I said, but a few of them included animal husbandry. When you go to the Ekka, you'll see a whole stack of cattle and horses and dogs and chickens on display, winning prizes. These agricultural shows existed in Australia as part of the changes in animal husbandry that started in the Agricultural Revolution. The idea was that we can improve the quality of the food we grow through cattle, through chickens, through pigs, through goats, through sheep. We can improve the quality of all of our agricultural products by breeding top quality animals with other top quality animals to get the best quality product they produce. So certain type of sheep can be bred with other type of sheep that need perhaps less water, less food, but produce incredibly good wool. We might see higher meat being produced, higher muscle content on some cattle if we breed them in certain ways. And so those agricultural shows like the Ekka were all about finding the top prize-winning cattle, sheep, pigs, goats, and so on and so on and so on. And the prizes that they won would influence how much people would pay for their own animals to breed with that one. Another change was the way in which crops were rotated through the fields. At a time where there wasn't a lot of fertilizer, it was really important to get the order of plants into the ground at different times, where when one plant draws nutrients out of the soil, another plant puts nutrients back in. There's a whole science starting now in agricultural practices. and other areas concerning the development of fertilisers. And in this way, agricultural production in Britain skyrocketed. And we didn't need as many farmers. The lands were enclosed, they were built into fences, and you would have seen photographs of England with stone fences everywhere. These stones were placed around fences. The peasants were turfed off their land, and large landowners started to run large farms to get increasing amounts of food to market, and the new markets were in the city. The movement of people to the cities is a very, very important part of the agricultural revolution. People talk about the enclosure movement, the closing in of farms, as being the basis on which our modern cities are built. When people move to the cities, they get involved in industries which allow them to trade with other parts of the world. In fact, at this stage in Europe, in the 1700s, we start to see that massive population moving off the countryside into the urban areas, and those same people then moving out into what became the British Empire. So if you're wondering why there are British colonies and now the British Commonwealth all around the world, it's partly because of the movement of these people.